Hello, welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports and another edition of what is in our stand today. What we're doing today is setting up a set of new wheels for one of our customers who currently has a gravel bike, and what she wants to be able to do is, let's say she wants to do a road ride on Saturday and a gravel ride on Sunday or vice versa. She doesn't want to have to remove the tires and swap them back and forth. Now, that may not seem like too much of an inconvenience for most people, but if you're running gravel tire setup, you typically will run those tubeless. So you've got all the sealant that you have to deal with, and if you're changing to road, then you have to either constantly be replacing that sealant or something. So she wants to ride her road wheel setup, road tires, nice smooth slick tires with tubes, and then her gravel setup, leave that alone with a tubeless setup. So it kind of makes sense to have just two wheel sets. So let's take a look at what we have decided as a solution for that. So she has a nice set of gravel wheels. So what we've come up with is an RX31, and this is basically a lower level, more entry level type of wheel set, and it's more than good enough for what she wants to do, because her other wheel set is a little bit nicer, and so who knows, maybe they'll get swapped out at some point. But I'm a big fan of Shimano wheels. Their build quality is good, their customer service and dealer support is excellent, so I like to use their wheels whenever possible. They use a center lock setup for disc brake rotors, and so it's just one of those things where it's just a really nice setup. The 6-bolt, sure, that's great too, but the 6 bolts, and they're usually Torx, and they need to be torqued, right? So excuse me, a torque setup is this instead of a standard Allen wrench. And sorry if that doesn't focus. Excuse me. All right, so this being an entry-level wheel set, I'm sure you're curious, well, how much does it weigh? So let's take a look here. This is the front wheel, and that's 887, it looks like, settled in. And then the rear, of course, the rears always weigh a little more because they have a cassette hub body on there. So 880 and then 1130. So there you go. Now, what we're going to do is, she has an 160 rotor, and that's going to go in the front. And then this rotor is the rear rotor of a 140. Now, just so you can see how simple it is to put on a center lock rotor, this here, you can see the nice serrations here. All you have to do, and of course, you want to keep your fingers off of the actual braking surface. And now I'll switch hands. And so you just line that up, and it's all nice and splined. And then you just take the the lock ring, you screw that on there, and then you would use a cassette lock ring tool, and then you would torque that down to the 40 Newton meters that you see on the lock ring. And that's it. Easy to do. You have a nice tool to do it with, and this is the same tool that you would use on your cassette lock ring for your cassette. So this tool is available at basically any bike shop for a consumer purchase, and I try to keep at least one in stock. one Campy and one Shimano. They are just slightly different, but they look very much the same. All right, so we're going to do that. Put the rotor on there. And then we also have an 1134 cassette. Now, Shimano in the Dura-Ace line does not make an 1134. The highest they go is 1130. And then in the Ultegra R800, so not the R8000, the R800, they make an 1134. And then in the 105, this is the 105, so instead of the 7000 group set, they call this an HG 700, just like the other one is HG 800 instead of 8000. Now, these cassettes are quite heavy, but, you know, it's a value purchase. Now, if you notice, this little spacer here, what this is used for is, let's turn this around real quick. You might not be able to notice this on the video, but this is a little bit concave. And what that's designed to do is to go on the free hub body and not hit the spokes. So what they've designed here is it's kind of it's just a little bit concave. And one more interesting thing about this is that you can take this 11-speed cassette and put it on a 10-speed hub body. And if you're not aware, the difference between a 10-speed hub body and an 11-speed hub body is about 1.8 millimeters. The 11-speed hub body, free hub body, is 1.8 millimeters longer. So you can take this 11-speed cassette, see if you can follow along. You can take this 11-speed cassette, put it on a 10-speed hub body, which is shorter, and convert that 10-speed wheel set that's been laying around, convert that over to 11-speed and put that on your 11-speed drivetrain and shifter setup. So this is a very nice thing, and they're relatively inexpensive. So if you had a really expensive wheel set and you're thinking, oh, what am I going to do with this 10-speed wheel set? I can't get a free hub body to replace it and convert it from 10 to 11 speed. That does happen. For example, I have a set of Chris King hubs, and they are what they call the classic hubs. So they're not the R45 hubs. And you can't buy a free hub body to convert that wheel set from a 10-speed to an 11-speed. So here's a solution. I believe they're around $60. I can't remember. And then they also have the Ultegra one, which is much lighter. So here we go. We're just going to put it on a scale because I think a lot of people are always curious about this kind of stuff. So there's the spacer on top, and there it is. It's around 360 grams. And, you know, that's quite heavy, but the alternative is you've got a $2,000 wheel set that you can't ride anymore, right? So here you go. You can just buy a $60 cassette. It's a little heavier, but at least that really nice wheel set. Maybe it's even a tubular wheel set. I've got some of those from years ago that are super light, and you just feel like, what am I going to do with this wheel set? I don't want to get rid of it. So this is one solution for that. This is the 11-speed 105 version. They also make an Ultegra version, and it is a little bit lighter. I don't recall by how much. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe and tell your friends what we do here at Rev Endurance Sports. We are in San Marcos, California, which is basically a suburb of San Diego, and we are in an area that they call the North County of San Diego. So just the northern part of San Diego where the shop is at. Okay, thank you so much, and we'll see you on the road.